So good afternoon to everybody. It's really an honor and privilege to present you the EASL policy statement that has been launched recently on drug use and the global hepatitis C elimination goal. My name is Mojca Matičić, and as already pointed out, I'm also the member of EASL Policy and Public Health Committee. So as you may know, in 2016, WHO set up the first global health sector strategy towards the elimination of viral hepatitis as a public health threat. And as you see, the goals are quite ambitious. However, there have been and still are several barriers to elimination of viral hepatitis, at first from the side of the patient and practitioner, and later on from the side of the system as well as the policy. But as it has been already pointed out, one of the strategic directions of EASL is also to be the advocate of the highest standards of hepatology for the care for patients. So in this framework of elimination of viral hepatitis, EASL set up hepatitis strategies in two levels. On the patient level, it launches clinical practice guidelines. Actually, the last one has been launched in September. And on the public health level, it has been launching position and policy statements. So in April 2019, the position statement on elimination of hepatitis C has been launched by EASL, with the key messages that all European countries develop a comprehensive hepatitis C national strategy or action plan, and among other suggestions, it also suggests that it needs to also, these action plans need to combat the stigma and discrimination. It needs to implement harm reduction strategies to improve access to treatment and care, especially in those groups at high risk. So, further on, to overcome these barriers, in August this year, during the International Liver Conference, EASL launched the policy statement on drug use in respect to the global hepatitis C elimination goal. Well, why focus on drug use to eliminate hepatitis C? Well, there are several reasons, and among them, very importantly, globally, 8.5% of all HCV infections occur among persons who've injected drugs within the last 12 months. Further on, it's been estimated that 16% of all people living with HIV infection in the EU and Norway are people who inject drugs. Moreover, deaths from liver disease, including HCV infection, is as equally common as death from overdose in those aged over 50. And finally, in the last decade, mortality due to untreated HCV infection has been increasing, particularly due to late presentation by people who inject drugs. On the other hand, we do have an excellent weapon to fight hepatitis C, the drugs, direct-acting antivirals that cure hepatitis C. So several studies have shown that broad accessibility to direct-acting antivirals can reduce HCV prevalence among people who inject drugs. Moreover, combination of opiate substitution treatment and high coverage of needle and syringe exchange programs can reduce HCV incidence by more than 70%. However, harm reduction services worldwide are not in place for most drug users. And besides, testing and treatment for hepatitis C among people who inject drugs globally remains suboptimal. And even if in certain countries there is a high provision of testing and treatment, the access to them for people who inject drugs is still limited due to several reasons, as pointed out here. Among nearly 180 countries, less than half of them have already implemented opiate substitution treatment programs, and a little more than half adopted needle and syringe exchange programs. And very importantly, high provision of HCV testing and treatment has been realized only in 1% of people who inject drugs. While the policies and laws prohibiting illegal drugs play a central role in shaping health outcomes among people who inject drugs, and it is very clear from HIV infection in drug users, because a systematic review of 106 peer-reviewed articles has clearly shown that drug criminalization has a negative effect on HIV prevention and treatment in relation to decreased needle and syringe distribution, increased syringe sharing, and increased HIV burden among people who inject drugs. What about hepatitis C? Well, drug use policies is also a direct barrier to achieving the goal of elimination. Why? Well, let's see, prohibiting the possession of drug paraphernalia hinders harm reduction service delivery and uptake. Many national laws impose severe custodial sentences of minor nonviolent drug offenses such as drug use and possession. And as a result, people who inject drugs are frequently imprisoned or detained without access to prevention and other harm reduction services, and often forced to interrupt ongoing HCV treatment. And last but not least, laws criminalizing drug use reinforce stigmatization and discrimination in people who inject drugs. So in most European countries, they have laws that criminalize the possession and distribution of drugs. However, the policies differ regarding offenses and penalties. But over the last decade, there has been an increasing debate on a change in policy for non-medical drugs. But very importantly, we need to distinguish among various terminologies. So in the context of HCV elimination, EASL strongly supports decriminalization of drug use, meaning the decriminalization of the consumption, purchase, and possession of or personal consumptions of plants, substances, or preparations not exceeding the amount for individual consumption during a certain period of time. Well, such a decriminalization of personal consumption definitely restores the right to health and social reintegration of a drug user. However, such a decriminalization by itself brings about only a reduction in punishment and not a public health response. So, to really eliminate HCV drug users, combining these activities is required. So combining the criminalization of personal drug consumption and possession and integrated interventions such as HIV testing, treatment, and counseling. And this combination can lead to the fact that people who inject drugs can freely access centers of assistance regardless of their drug consumption. According to the latest International Drug Policy Consortium from January this year, globally 29 countries and 49 jurisdictions have already adopted some form of decriminalization of drug use and possession for personal use. And the best good practice example is actually Portugal, which is the first country in the world to decriminalize minor drug offenses. Why? Well, in 2000, they were losing the fight against drug overdose deaths, and there was a rising prevalence of HIV/AIDS patients. So they decided on an experiment to decriminalize use and possession for personal use of all drugs and to focus on a public health approach to illegal drug use and on treating addiction. So the harm reduction responses was systematically assessed and activities were scaled up wherever needed. And the outcome was that, contrarily to predictions, the Portuguese decriminalization did not lead to major increase in drug use. Moreover, the evidence indicates reductions in problematic drug use, in drug-related harms, and very importantly, criminal justice overcrowding. And most importantly, there is a very good HIV story after the setting up the decriminalization of drug use, because in nearly 7 years after this decriminalization was launched, there was a 84% decrease in drug use related deaths, a 74% decrease in new drug use related HIV diagnoses, and in 2017, only 2.2% of new HIV infections were related to drug use. So to conclude, it's really, I think, a time for change, and EASL in that way calls for action. So EASL strongly recommends that all barriers to the uptake of healthcare services by people who inject drugs be removed by changing policy and discrimination that hinder access. And this, of course, includes also the decriminalization of minor non-violent drug offenses and the adoption of an approach based on public health, respected human rights, and evidence. So in the coming decade, 1.5 million deaths can be averted by HCV elimination. And this presented policy statement is just another important step to overcome barriers on our way to elimination of hepatitis C. And it has, as it has been already pointed out by Maria at the beginning, the Medicine Nobel 2020 honors 3 scientists for discoveries of hepatitis C virus. And this definitely means a call to end the journey started by these 3 Nobel laureates. So Harvey Alter, Michael Houghton, and Charles Rice. Thank you.